If you're right into the season without a plan to keep your bike in top shape, you're asking for trouble. When you get your first bike, unless you somehow landed a Ducati, you basically sign up to become a part-time mechanic. Motorcycles live a rough life, and if you're not careful, they'll remind you real quick. From bolts that rattle loose over time to lights you forget to check, these are the little things that can slip past you. Luckily, most bikes are pretty simple to work on, and knowing how to handle basic maintenance won't just save you money, it'll save you time and effort. But before we get into it, bike maintenance is key, and having the right tools makes all the difference. Start with nitrile gloves to keep your hands clean. A brake bleeding kit is essential for hydraulic brakes. Just make sure you're using the correct fluid. A tire tread depth gauge helps ensure grip and safety, and a chain wear indicator prevents cassette damage. A torque wrench avoids over-tightening, which is crucial for carbon fiber parts, and a spoke tension meter helps you keep your wheels true. Now, let's get into it. Number 1, change your own oil and filter. To be honest, we all forget. It's just something that easily slips our minds. It's one of the easiest and most essential things you can do to keep your motorcycle running smoothly. Dealerships and mechanics are going to charge you a premium for this simple task, but the truth is you can do it yourself with minimal tools and just a little bit of know-how. Here's what you need to know. First, don't start your bike and leave it idle for a few minutes before draining the oil. That won't cut it. Instead, take it out for a good 10 to 20 minute ride. The hotter the oil gets, the thinner it becomes, allowing more of the dirty, used up oil to drain completely. This helps remove all the gunk that builds up over time. If your bike has a spin-on oil filter, pre-filling it with a few ounces of fresh oil before installing is a smart move. This prevents the engine from running dry for even a second when you fire it back up, giving you a more accurate oil level reading. Motorcycles, much like cars, have maintenance reminder lights that alert riders when it's time for service. These reminders are typically triggered based on mileage or time intervals set by the manufacturer. While they serve as useful prompts, especially for essential tasks like changing oil, they can often get reset without a trip to the dealership. The method to reset the maintenance light varies depending on the motorcycle's make and model. For some bikes, you can reset it directly through the instrument panel by navigating the menu options. For instance, certain Triumph motorcycles allow riders to reset the service light via the dashboard menu, provided the date and time are correctly set. On the other hand, some models may require a specific sequence of button presses or the use of diagnostic tools. It's advisable to consult your owner's manual or reputable online forums for model-specific instructions. Regarding diagnostic capabilities, many modern motorcycles are equipped with systems that can be accessed using OBD2. That's onboard diagnostic scanners. However, compatibility isn't universal across all brands and models. Some motorcycles adhere to OBD2 standards, especially those compliant with Euro 4 and Euro 5 regulations, allowing the use of generic OBD2 scanners. In contrast, others might require brand-specific adapters or proprietary diagnostic tools. For example, certain BMW motorcycles can be diagnosed using the MotoScan app paired with the OBD Link scanner and a specific adapter cable. Again, I remind you, if you ride a motorcycle, you need to learn how to change your oil. It's not rocket science. You don't want to over-tighten your filter or drain bolts. That's just asking for a headache next time. And for the love of all things two-wheeled, put a little fresh oil on the O-ring before you put in that new filter. Keeps it from leaking, keeps your bike happy, and if you're new to working on your bike, grab a service manual. Trust me, it's the best money you'll ever spend. Number 2, if you're lucky enough to have an air-cooled bike, congrats. But most modern motorcycles are liquid-cooled, which means you got a radiator and coolant that needs changing every few years or around 20,000 miles. If you just picked up a used bike and the coolant looks like pond water, do yourself a favor and swap it out. Changing it is easy. Drain it with the bike cold so it doesn't spray out like a geyser and burn you. Fill it with fresh coolant, run the bike to burp the system, and top it off as needed. Oh, and don't use tap water to dilute it unless you want mineral buildup in your cooling system. Use distilled water only. Number 3, brakes and chains. Kind of important, right? You don't want to find out the hard way that your stopping power isn't what it used to be. Maintaining your brakes is something every motorcycle owner should know how to do. If your brake pads are looking a little thin, it's time to swap them out. All it takes is removing a few bolts, pulling out the old pads, pushing the caliper piston back, and installing the new ones. If you've got dual discs, don't forget to do both sides. And for those of you who actually use your rear brake, yeah, go ahead and do that one too. But brake pads are just one piece of the puzzle. Brake fluid is another thing you can't afford to ignore. Over time, it absorbs moisture and breaks down, which means less effective braking. Bleeding the brakes is straightforward, but you'll need a little bit of patience or a friend who's willing to help. The process is simple. Attach a bleeder hose to the screw, pump the brake lever, and keep adding fresh fluid till you see clean, bubble-free fluid coming through. If you want to make your life a little easier, invest in a vacuum bleeder. Trust me, it's worth it. Oh, and wear gloves, because brake fluid is some pretty nasty stuff, and you don't want it eating through your skin or, worse, your bike's paint. If you're rocking a belt or a shaft-driven bike, you can sit this one out. But if you got a chain, keeping it clean and lubed is one of the easiest and most important things you can do. Neglected chains wear out faster, which means you're looking at expensive replacements way sooner than necessary. Get yourself a padlock stand to make things easier. Spray on some chain cleaner, scrub it with a brush, wipe it down, and then apply fresh lube. Done. And while you're at it, check for excessive movement or any worn-out teeth on your sprockets. Number 4. Checking your tires. Your rear tire especially takes a beating, and if you're not paying attention, you could end up riding on rubber that's way past its prime. Check the age and manufacturer date, which can be found on the side of the tire, and ensure that there are no cracks present. Your rear tire in particular takes a beating, so it's crucial to monitor wear and tear. You need to check your tread regularly. Nobody wants to be that guy showing up to bike night with bald tires. And don't even get me started on chicken strips. If you still got them running wide down to the sides, expect your faster friends to give you a hard time. But seriously, tire pressure is crucial. An underinflated tire kills handling and wears out faster, while an overinflated one loses grip. Just check your PSI. It's one of the easiest things you can do to keep your bike safe. When the time comes to swap out your tires, knowing how to handle it yourself can save you some cash. At the very least, being able to remove your wheels and take them to a shop instead of paying full labor costs is a smart move. If you're feeling ambitious, you can even change your own tires using tire spoons. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but with some lube and heat, yes, both are necessary, you can make the process smoother. Just don't use water-based lubricants since they can corrode your wheels over time. These aren't step-by-step guides, but if you're new to riding, this is the foundation you need to keep your bike in good shape. Number 5. Inspect and maintain wheel bearings. Wheel bearings endure substantial stress and can wear out over time, leading to handling issues. Regularly check for play by lifting the bike and attempting to move the wheels side to side. If movement's detected, consider replacing the bearings to ensure smooth operation. Service the steering head bearings. The steering head bearings affect your bike's handling and stability. Periodically inspect for notchiness or resistance when turning the handlebars. Lubricate or replace the bearings as necessary to maintain precise steering control. Adjust and lubricate control cables. Throttle and clutch cables can stretch and fray, leading to delayed response times. Regularly inspect these cables for wear, apply appropriate lubrication, and adjust tension to ensure smooth and responsive control inputs. Check and maintain suspension components. Suspension plays a crucial role in comfort and handling. Regularly inspect fork seals for leaks, ensure proper fork oil levels, and adjust suspension settings according to your riding style and load to maintain optimal performance. Examine electrical connections and wiring. Vibrations and environmental factors can cause electrical connections to loosen or corrode. Periodically inspect all wiring and connectors, clean any corrosion, and secure loose connections to prevent electrical failures. Number 6. It's not about maintenance, but upgrading the sound of your bike. Most common upgrades, installing a slip-on exhaust. Not strictly necessary, but let's be honest. How many bikes do you see with a stock exhaust? A slip-on is one of the easiest modifications you can do. It's just a few bolts and a spring and you're done. Unlike a full exhaust swap, you don't need to adjust your bike's fuel management. Though if you really want to squeeze out some extra power, pairing it with a high-flow air filter and fuel tuner can make a difference. But even if you're not chasing performance, a slip-on makes your bike sound a whole lot better. And that's reason enough. Okay, let's get to that plus one I mentioned earlier. Knowing how to check your battery's voltage, jumpstart your bike, or replace the battery altogether is crucial. A simple voltmeter will help diagnose starting or charging issues before they leave you stranded. If you need a jumpstart, avoid using a car battery. It's not the best idea for your motorcycle. Instead, use a dedicated jump pack or another bike. And if you find yourself with a dead battery and no help in sight, knowing how to bump start your bike could save your ride. Second gear, clutch in, push, jump on, and dump the clutch. It's not the most graceful method, but hey, it works. If you've got a favorite maintenance tip or think we left something out, let us know in the comments. Have you ever had a maintenance mishap that left you stranded? What's the one maintenance task you always put off? Drop your answers below. We'd love to hear from you.